Hello everybody, and this is Narendra Kumar, and today our topic is wondering about the world. How the world works. This whole world, how it works. That is the topic today. So, how do you ask a question? Why is this important? I mean, this is very important for me. In my 20 years of experience in educating children, I have found that children are surprised. Like they say, "Sir, can we ask such a question?" When I raise a question, they say, "Can we ask such a question?" Because in the whole education system, we don't understand that we can ask questions and that there are answers. Both. We don't ask questions and we don't know what are the answers. That we can know the answers also, we don't know. So today I thought we'll break this barrier of freely we ask all the questions that can occur to us in our mind, all the wonder questions, natural questions that occur to us when we look at the whole world in our mind's eye, and even directly around the society, around in the physical world, and in our mind, the whole world we picture and ask questions. So we can begin anywhere. We can begin at the beginning, as they say. And of course, you have the theory called the Big Bang, and you can read a textbook on that. But the real question is, how did this whole universe come into existence? This is the first question. First of all, did the universe come into existence from some heaven or someone created it? That itself is a question. Of course, science says something and religion says something, but let us forget these concepts like science and religion and all that. After all, we do have a right to ask questions directly. That's what scientists did. That's how man came so far. So, how did this whole universe come into being? Did it come into being from nothing? Is it a correct question? From nothing. From nothing, something came. Then there is that nothing. Such a simple answer. You can't have something from a nothing. If it's coming from a nothing, as some people say, then what is that nothing? I'm not answering anything particularly. I'm raising a question which comes naturally to anybody. So, but there is of course a theory like Big Bang. The whole universe was at a point. There is a scientific theory. Due to gravity, the whole universe was at a point, and then there was a Big Bang, and nobody knows why the Big Bang happened, but that it happened, we know partly maybe, and then the whole hydrogen filled the whole space. There's a staggering facts they tell us. So you can ask questions from the facts that you are learning in the school also. It's not that you have to start as if you're in a jungle and ask questions. You don't have to do that. So many facts we do know, and so many facts we do observe. So it's not that you don't read. You do read. You read, you do your education, you learn many things abstractly. But the point here is that you must ask questions. So the first question could be, what is this Big Bang, and why was the whole universe at a point, and what was this Big Bang, and how do stars form? So stars and galaxies and our solar system, which is supposed to be a second generation star. That's what we learn in school. Many people know that. So all these elements came in the sun because it was the second generation star. So today's topic is not that we will go into details about and even give the answers. Today our concern is to feel and ask the question properly. To ask the question properly is to win half the battle, because answers you can find it anywhere. You can find it in the net also. What is that star which twinkles in the sky? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. It's really true. What is that thing hanging in there, twinkling? Why does it twinkle? That's a good question. Why is it so small? Okay, people tell you it's very far. How did we know? How did we know it's very far? Some people give the distances to the stars. Some people give the number of stars. There are 100 crore stars, 1,000 million stars. How do they give that number? How did scientists come to know so much about the stars and so much about the galaxies without venturing beyond even Mars? And physically beyond moon, and which is very close compared to the size of the universe. So how did people come to know about the stars, so much about the stars, that there are nuclear fusion reactions taking place and then the hydrogen converts into helium? The point is not that the abstract information, but how did they come to know this? That's a good question. Then how did the solar system form? How did the sun form? And then we come closer. How did the earth form, and how did it cool? How did the mountains and the oceans form? These are not ordinary questions. These are real questions which you are looking directly at the world and asking. You see those huge, beautiful, extraordinarily wondrous mountain ranges, and it's all full of snow and all that. How did the Himalayan ranges of India, how did they form? How did the deserts, such fantastic deserts you see, if you see those videos where you have this whole beautiful smooth sand for miles and miles on end. And how did all that form? How did the deserts form? Why are some places so hot? Why are some places so cold? Why do we have the seasons? And it's one thing to say that the earth is tilted and get the logic of it. It's another to connect it to everything and grasp it as a whole. That is the whole point. You have to grasp the whole thing as a whole. So how did the deserts, the oceans, and how did the earth form? Why is it inside the earth? There's a topic in school level. We all have learned that inside the earth, the core, the mantle, the crust, the top layer, crust, mantle, core. And they talk about the elements inside and the charges which move, which make the earth a magnet. Now the whole earth is a magnet. Charges moving creates a magnetic field around the earth. Now that is something fantastic. Then how did we come to know so much about the inside of the earth without going inside the earth? We hardly have gone into the earth, hardly. We just a little bit we have gone inside to the mines and all that. How did all this come about? Inside, how did we come to know that there is so many layers inside? We have even measured the circumference of the earth. How did we measure the circumference of the earth? How do we know that earth is round? These are not stupid questions. They are really honest questions. Anybody should ask these questions. And then we have winds and storms and cyclones. How do we get that huge fury of nature? Recently we had in India, in Chennai, there's a huge fury of the weather and it keeps coming. Sometimes we can't even predict it perfectly. Why do we get winds? Why do we get storms? Why do we get cyclones? Why do we get earthquakes and tsunamis? If you see the pictures of tsunami, it's very wondrous, the huge water that comes up like that. This is real. This is not something, a bookish thing. It's real all around us. So that is one thing. Then you have these seasons, you have this cycle, you have this rain, rock cycle, all the cycles that keep earth going, and then you have life. How did the first life come into existence? How did it really? And that they say that the life is made. This is really wonder. It's such a wonder. Then these are the questions. Today I'm listing out all the questions we can ask about the world. And how did that whole one species giving rise to slowly to another species, the whole concept of mutation, evolution, these are the things you must grasp exactly and clearly. These are all real. And finally, man came. Man, you and me. And we are also animals. Then if we are animals, then how comes we have a concept of God like that? So then that starts the history of man. How the ancient civilizations came. Which were the ancient civilizations? Why did people invent something like a God? And what is the root of all the religions like Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity? When was science born? And they say science was born in the Greek times. Then how did it slowly get lost during the dark ages? Then why was there rebirth? Why did it happen then? What are the steps? And how did science form? And then one of the most beautiful questions to ask in history is how and when and who discovered in such depth so much about the world which we study in such big books about electricity and magnetism and inner processes of plants and animals. Are there root principles, and what are those principles by which the whole world works, the physical, biological world works? All those questions and all those discoveries were asked, all those questions were raised by the great scientists. What we're doing now was actually done by the great scientists. And all the discoveries were made. And obviously when man became so confident, obviously he questioned the kingly rule. And what was the enlightenment? And the biggest question is, when everything was known during the enlightenment, when we had overthrown the power of the kings, of dictators, then why hasn't peace come on earth? Why were there a world war, the two world wars? What ails man? What ails man? What is the root of what ails man? Why is man not yet able to find peace when he has got so much science? What is the duality that we see in the whole world? What are the problems in the world today? When you read history and find out the answers to these questions, the roots of religion, what religion really says, you will find very deep secrets. You will find that in the name of religion, millions and billions of people are being killed today also. What is fanaticism? What is reason? What is faith? Is there something called faith, or is reason the only way and means of knowledge? What is man's life? What is good? What is bad? These are philosophical questions. We must answer them. We must answer them. But before we answer them, we must ask those questions. And that is what I'm trying to do now. And then you have so many beautiful laws which govern fluids and gases, motion, gravity, heat, light, sound, electricity and magnetism. And one of the most beautiful things, most beautiful discoveries ever made, the most startling discoveries, everything is made up of atoms and molecules. About chemical changes. We have really gone to the roots of matter. We have gone to the whole universe we have understood, and we have gone deep into matter. Even now we are uncovering so many different elementary particles. There's so much mystery still there. Light is a wave or a particle. Even electron is a wave or a particle. We have something like electron microscope which uses its wave nature. Then what is a wave and what is a particle? It's almost as if we are still in the threshold of mystery, and we have to uncover that. So these are the questions we have to raise and we have to ask openly. Now when we read the textbooks, we will read with a critical eye. We'll go deep into the truth and get the truth. This is a good method of learning. Instead of going in the textbook part by part, like myopically, see very close by, see from far. Gain your strength to ask questions. Give yourself the right to ask questions. Nothing will happen if you ask questions. You can ask the questions around your society. Why are people so dumb and so limited in spite of so much of science? This is a very, very big question which very young people always wonder about. If there's so much science, everybody thinks the world is a wonderful place, and then they encounter people, they encounter so much of badness, which is not really bad also. They can see through that people are very limited. Why are they limited? Is it still very early? These are the questions. I have not given any answers today, but as you notice, the very questioning leads to almost a kind of knowing the world. The deep reason for that is man has to know by being certain. He can't know vaguely. He can't have faith. Somebody says there's a heaven. He can't just say, okay, you are saying, so there's a heaven. That was blasted in the Enlightenment period. Man has got the right to ask. His reason is his tool by which he must get the truth. About what? About what really? About the whole reality. So the reality is real, or is there another world? This is the most fundamental question you can ask. This is a philosophical question. If this is the only existence, then we live here, we perish here. Are we animals or are we a God? What is God? The concept of God. Is there God within? Is it my self-exaltation about myself being a being, or is it something else, or what? These are the questions. If you have noticed that implicitly I am also giving partly the answers, because you can't totally literally ask questions without giving some hint of the answer. These answers will be given in Narendra Academy very sincerely, very deeply, very simply, and very powerfully. So that's all for today. Wondering about the world, that's all we did today. Thank you so much. This is Narendra Kumar, and we sign out now. We'll meet again in all our videos where we'll part by part show you the beauty, the wonder of the world and your power, the power to know, to discover. Thank you so much.